Hey everyone, Kurt Lingor again, Non-Executive Director. We're on site at the Lauriston Project. We're here today with the top dog, Ian Holland, Managing Director of Adelong. G'day Ian.
G'day Kurt, how are you?
Good, thank you mate, good. So where are we today, what are we doing?
Yeah, so we're at the Lauriston Project at our drill site. This is the third of our sites here, so we're just near the town of Blackwood, basically between Melbourne and Ballarat.
So we're at the southern end, the Comet Discovery?
Correct, yeah, so at the southern end of the tenement package, and this is where we had the most amount of previous information and drill information from the previous owner.
Okay.
So that's where we've started the program.
The drilling program, and we've got the rig obviously in the background. It's off today due to some crew rotation. So then, how's the drilling going so far? Where are we up to?
Yeah, going well. So what we initially announced and commenced in October was an initial 3,000 metre program. We're probably about halfway through those metres on hole 6 as we stand here now, so third section. It's progressing well. We can talk about some of the observations so far. I think also fair to say that we don't intend to stop at 3,000 metres. Given what we've seen to date, we've been pretty encouraged, so we would intend to continue, but we'll have more to say about that soon.
Fantastic. Now today we are going to do a bit more of a deeper dive on the geology. So for all the geology fans, get your special glove out because we're going to really nerd out on some of the geology here today.
Tonight I'm moving like
Ian brings a whole host of knowledge with the area around the Fosterville Stop deposit. So Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks Kurt. Look, from my end, almost 30 years in the industry across mining and exploration. I'm a geologist by background, so originally studied in Townsville at James Cook University. Worked in a number of places, including a number of years in Mount Isa, actually, where both of my girls are born. So they're mining town girls in that sense. But also, further degrees or further qualifications in finance and further studies in geology as well. But I think most relevantly, I came to Central Victoria in 2007 and became associated with the Fosterville Gold Mine.
2007, yeah.
So for 15 years was associated with Fosterville across a range of different areas. It was actually 13 years. 13 years associated with the Fosterville Gold Mine across a range of functions. I was the site general manager at Fosterville for 7 years. And it was during that time that we first discovered, developed and actually started producing from the Swan Zone, which was
we'll get into that
fantastic
in a minute.
high-grade discovery at depth. With that background, I think along with other key members of the team, it really gives us I think a strong competitive advantage in terms
I would say unfair advantage, yeah.
In terms of, knowledge of the geology, but also the ability to operate here in Central Victoria. Regulators, community, you've got to be a good neighbour, and we've got that background to be able to do that successfully, we think. So.
And you've got that track record of dealing with the local community, good community relations, and also looking after our assets, our forests.
And we've really put that at the front and centre of starting this program. So we want to start as we begin to end. Yeah. We really want to do the right things up front, and that's the way we've approached this program so far.
Absolutely, that's so good to hear. Now, for the people that don't know the Fosterville deposit, the Fosterville story, it's one of the biggest, most successful gold mines globally of all time. Is that a fair statement?
Look, I think you can say really positive things about it. It's it's been a great mine. At its peak, was producing nearly 200,000 ounces of gold a quarter. So really, it's come off that peak now.
Yeah.
But still very high grade, very high margins, and producing a lot of free cash flow for its owner. I think really importantly as well, it evolved over time, and I was certainly involved in that period of time and in that evolution, where we went from being a relatively modest underground gold mine, producing a positive margin, but not spectacularly so, to it really being transformed through discovery at depth. And it really shows the power of what drill programs can do, exploration programs can do in creating value. And it's really what is front and centre for the current Adelong board, as you know, in terms of creating value.
So it wasn't always, Fosterville is the poster child of Victorian gold, right? So it wasn't always the case. It was that discovery of the Swan Zone around, 2015, 2016? Is that about right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think prior to that, Fosterville was very much a sulphide system. Refractory, without a lot of visible gold in the system. It was, at much lower gold prices than is currently, but we're still making money on those sorts of numbers.
So just to recap the geology jargon, refractory is microscopic type gold that's trapped.
Yeah, it's basically trapped gold. So fine gold caught within the crystal lattice structure of sulphide minerals in this particular case, where free gold is not contained within that, so it's easier to liberate.
So a lot of that early drilling, or the upper zones, there was not that visible gold type gold system. It wasn't until you sort of went through the different zones and the different exploration programs where you discovered the famous Swan Zone where you started getting that visible gold?
Yeah, that's correct. So a vertically zoned system, so sulphide up at the top, and at about 800 metres depth we started to see this quartz stibnite, which is important. So an antimony sulphide, so we can come back to antimony, and high-grade gold as well.
Yeah, antimony is certainly the buzzword and obviously the commodity that's in demand, but it was the detection of that zone that actually led to the discovery of the Swan.
It's more the fact that that's a particular type of mineralisation. That is where the stibnite crystallises in that form. So essentially, it's what's called epizonal mineralisation.
Epizonal.
And what that means is that if you think about the depth at which these mineralised bodies form, when they first solidify, epizonal means fairly high in the system, so within the top couple of kilometres from below surface, whereas a classic orogenic system, gold system, will be deeper, typically sort of 5 to 10 kilometres deep. So one of the challenging things for everybody really to wrap their minds around is that although a gold deposit and a gold mine might be located at surface now, that's not where it formed, that's not where it solidified.
Yeah.
It's solidified at depth. And it's only at the surface now because the material above it has eroded.
Through the natural processes.
Through the natural processes of weathering over, in this case, hundreds of millions of years.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, so the discovery of the Swan Zone was the company maker for now the owner, Agnico Eagle, one of the biggest gold mining companies of the world. Yep. Is that about right?
Yeah, for sure. So Agnico Eagle's in the top three gold mining companies in the world, Toronto based. The Swan discovery was very important to the previous companies that effectively Agnico Eagle acquired, so Kirkland Lake Gold in particular, and really the Swan Zone, and it wasn't. I'll be very clear to say it wasn't a eureka moment. This evolved over time as we started to drill into the ore body and the system at depth, and could detect that the mineralisation was changing in nature and the grade was increasing. What we were very fortunate for is some owners who were very committed to investing in the asset and supported our work in putting in more drilling and more development to be able to unlock that. And really, that sort of far-sighted investment really helped to
and that was the Eric Sprott
the program
fund.
Eric Sprott, among others,
famous investor,
for sure. Among others, to be fair. But those key company executives, investors, were instrumental in really helping to fund that growth.
That growth,
because you need two things in this business. You need an ore body, but you also need the capital to be able
the backers.
to do something with it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's discover, develop, extract. So from our point of view, we should never lose sight of the fact that we're a business,
Yep.
And we need capital to invest into our business. So I'd always give credit to those who really supported the story very strongly.
Of that, and we are blessed with some very good shareholders ourselves, like some people that believe in the vision and really understand the project and what we're trying to deliver here.
Yeah,
so speaking of what we're trying to deliver here, that it's a term thrown around in the investment community around next doorology or neurology, and the idea that goes that the tenement boundaries are just lines on maps, and there's nothing to say that the mineralisation or the structure stops at that line on the map. It continues down underground. So I think what a lot of investors kind of miss is the fact that the early geologists would have pegged, the great fertile systems in and around. So it's our play here at the Lauriston Project. The thesis is it a continuation of the Fosterville system? So would that be a fair statement?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, a continuation of the Fosterville style mineralisation.
Okay.
In that north-south corridor.
Yep.
So the geology through this central Victorian belt broadly all runs north-south.
North-south.
And it's because you had two plates, geological plates coming together,
Yeah.
and they've formed this corridor, this zone. Now there's different mineralisation styles across that, depending upon the depth at which it formed. So Ballarats and Bendigos.
We've got the Bendigo zone, we've got the Melbourne zone.
Versus a Fosterville versus a Costerfield.
Yep.
And for us here, we're about central in that belt.
Okay.
And that's about the Fosterville sort of area. So we're in the right sort of corridor territory. But also in addition to that, we've got really good indications from previous drilling done by previous owner. So the company before us drilled a few thousand metres of drilling, particularly at the southern end, at the common end of the trend.
Yep.
Some outstanding intercepts in that, including 8 metres at 104 grams as the best of those intercepts.
CRC07.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we've started this program basically from that as an anchor point, and then we've stepped north from there. So we've drilled a couple of holes, 2 holes on that section, that initial section.
Yep.
We've stepped 100 metres to the north and drilled 2 more.
100 to the north.
And a further 100 metres to the north, which is where we are here now, and we're drilling the second of our 2 holes here. And so for us, that's all about trying to really test that Fosterville thesis. So mineralisation style, structural setting, what's the overall geometry of the mineralised system here, and how can we trace and continue to track that?
So the thesis around the Fosterville continuation, visible gold would be just fantastic, but literally we're looking for the same type of rocks and signatures and structures.
Correct. Yep. So same host sequence. So sandstones, stones, and shales. It's called a turbidite sequence.
Turbidite sequence.
Same structural setting. Big, steep west dipping faults with footwall splays. So effectively, splays, from the west dipping splays going to the east, and critically mineralisation style. So sulphide dominant. Arsenopyrite, some stibnite, occasional visible gold, quartz veinlets.
Yeah.
And those are the ingredients that we've seen so far in the drill program.
Okay.
And they're very much hallmarks of a Fosterville style system.
So we recently hosted a lunch for an investor group in Melbourne, and one of the questions was that there was reported visible gold through an ASX announcement, but I think the room kind of didn't quite understand the significance of there being free gold, visible gold in that core. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means in the context of a refractory type system.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very rare to see significant amounts of visible gold in a gold system. Fosterville, I worked there for more than 5 years before I saw any visible gold, because it's all essentially locked up in sulphide. So we were very pleased with that. It effectively showed it was illustrative of the previous drilling there as well. So for us, given that we are expecting most of the gold to be contained within the sulphide minerals, to see any visible gold was absolutely on the upside. So we were very pleased with it.
That could be an indication. Again, this is not advice, but to investors. But this could be an indication that we're moving out of that refractory trap type microscopic gold into free float type gold, if there's visible gold.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we don't know as yet, because we haven't done the work, is how high up we are in the system, or down in the system,
in the structure,
for that matter. So this is really what this program is about. It's about scoping out over a reasonable scale, both along strike and at depth, some high quality drill information, so diamond drilling, which will give us some indications of that and show, what is the structure doing, what are the what are the faults doing, what are the folds doing, where is it mineralised, what's the character of that mineralisation, and that'll really help to guide our understanding of the system and guide the next set of holes as well.
And Luke's just arrived as well, so we covered off last time the importance of diamond core drilling as opposed to, say, RC. We actually get that stratigraphic, that sort of like picture we can then put into the computer software to understand the models.
Yeah, correct. It's critical stuff, and Luke's just stepped away. But when we talk about other competitive advantages that we have, I think having an exploration manager with the background that Luke Olsen does is fantastic. Has had significant previous experience at Ballarat. Was the exploration manager at Costerfield, so a gold antimony system in central Victoria. And also worked for the company who owned this project beforehand, so really gives us the ability to hit the ground running in that sense.
Yeah, excellent, and he's a heck of a nice guy.
And a great guy.
Yeah, have him on the team. Now, back on the topic of Victorian gold and Victoria as a mining jurisdiction, as you know, I'm very, very, very bullish as an investor on the Victorian gold fields. The resurgence there, we're getting a lot of support now from the government, and that's been backed up with action from government recently too. Tell us a little bit about Southern Cross. They had a bit of a win lately.
Yeah, for sure. So Southern Cross have got the Sunday Creek deposit a little to our east. Been drilling now there for a few years. Had some fantastic market support for that, so they've grown to be a plus $1 billion company.
About $2 billion market cap now, I think.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Now part of their next step is to they've done all of that drilling from surface. They want to get underground, establish drill platform from underground, and be able to effectively get closer to the ore body, but also away from any neighbours, and be able to drill from underground. They've just had that approved, that ability to put that decline in.
That's great.
So I think one of the themes that that you do occasionally hear from investors is, is Victoria a good place to invest exploration and mining capital? Put their dollars into the ground, and what I would say is that there's an appropriately rigorous system here in Victoria, but that it's absolutely open for business. As I've touched on, I was actually managed the Fosterville Gold Mine for a long period of time with these regulators, with this government, with community close by, and you can operate in all of that environment. I think what we've also seen recently is an intentional pivot by the government and the regulator in terms of trying to show that the doors are open as well for investment. Now you can say that all you want, but the rubber needs to hit the road, and it has.
Yeah, well, politicians are good at talking, aren't they? But in this case, they're delivering.
But you want to see the delivery, and Sunday Creek have had their, or Southern Cross have had their exploration decline approved.
That's just fantastic.
Catalyst have had theirs, and that's to the north of Bendigo. So again, similar sort of concept. Want to put an exploration decline in to get underground and be able to drill from there. We've seen a mineral sands mine approved in Western Victoria. So there's a range of these things, which I think the proof's always in the pudding. Look at what somebody's doing, not necessarily what they're saying. And that's happening. So from our point of view, we've been pretty encouraged. I think further to that point, specifically for us, we acquired this project in May the deal closed, and we were on the ground at the start of October being able to drill, and it was really only because we waited for things to dry out a little bit that it was as late as that.
Yeah, we were chomping at the bit to get on earlier, but we couldn't get the equipment in.
Well, yeah, and we wanted to be measured and cautious about it.
Absolutely.
With the other project that we have in Victoria, the Apollo project, we acquired that in February, and we're on the ground in May drilling. So you're able to do these things. There are absolutely appropriate standards to be able to, that you should rightly have to adhere to.
Yep.
But if you operate in the right way, you have the right systems and standards in place, then this is absolutely a place you can do business.
Yeah, and then regionally we've had some big wins lately too. Falcon Metals, Tim Markwell, kicking goals over there. I think the second rig's on site or coming on site very quickly. We've had Orica going into a cap raise this morning, Friday. So they're obviously now going to expand their work program and talk a little bit about S2 Resources, a neighbour that tenement package up here.
Yeah, so they S2 Resources very famously won the lottery a few years ago when there was essentially a
was a ballot, was it?
It was like a ballot. I guess it was a type of auction process, I suppose, for a set of exploration tenements around Fosterville, and they were successful in acquiring the one immediately around the mining tenement at Fosterville.
Yeah, good one to get.
Good one to get for sure. And look, there's lots of ways and means to make money in this industry, and what they've done recently is to do a deal with the owner of Fosterville, so Agnico Eagle, and sold that tenement back to them, and the total package was worth about $20 million.
So very clearly the Agnico Eagle are looking to consolidate land in the area, which bodes well for us if we had some good results coming out of here.
Look, for sure.
That's not advice to investors, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of that sort of activity shows that people are looking and people are interested. I mean, I think there's a whole range. I think just as importantly, from our point of view, there's a whole range of activity going on around us. You spoke of Falcon Metals, which is just to the north of Bendigo. They've had some real market recognition through some recent drilling.
10 cents to roughly 50, I think they climbed.
Orica to the south of Stawell, some recent drilling there showing visible gold, so that's all been exciting stuff. So, there's a whole range of these things, and I really take the view here that winners help everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a zero-sum game. In this case, it's really about getting investors looking at Victoria, looking at the potential, getting comfortable that there are successes to be had and money to be made, and we think that we welcome all of those successes. We think it helps everybody.
Yeah, my personal feedback is I attend a lot of events and do a lot of networking with other mining companies in and around us, and there's very much a collaborative spirit with sharing of knowledge and exploration techniques and early detection techniques. So, I think that puts us in a really great position, combined with yourself and Luke, in terms of the knowledge that we have of the area.
Yeah, and I think you hold these tenements. They're a licence from government, essentially. So that's secure. In reality, it's a win-win to help your neighbour and for your neighbour to help you.
Yeah.
So that's broadly what happens.
All right. So we're going to walk around a little bit today as well and understand a little bit more about the geology and just that lookalike type mineralisation system. So I might get into the weeds with some really gnarly geology rock questions for you.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Okay, so part of our thesis here is this a continuation of the Fosterville system as we've covered. What's the objective of our drill program?
Yeah, look, and I'll be completely frank and honest with you here, Kurt. No two ore bodies are exactly the same. We don't expect to find a Fosterville here. What we are looking for, though, is what are the controls on the system here, and are they showing Fosterville-like characteristics that will help us have the confidence to be able to hone in and define an ore body in the shortest possible time? So what are those characteristics?
I was going to ask, what are those characteristics?
Yeah, so host rocks. What we know is that we're in the right belt within central Victoria, where it's a belt of sediments. So the technical geological terms are a turbidite sequence, but essentially sandstone, siltstones, and
Turbidites because they go really fast.
Yeah, I could get much more complex on how they got laid down on the ocean floor, but that's way too technical. But from our end, it's the right rock type host.
Rock top.
What we've seen to date is that we've got a very similar structural setting as well. A big, steep, west dipping structure with splay faults into the footwall, so travelling off to the east. And probably most importantly, we've seen a mineralisation style which has got Fosterville characteristics. So sulphide dominant, arsenopyrite, some minor stibnite, a bit of sphalerite, minor visible gold. We're not expecting to see a lot of visible gold. We're really looking for...
That'd be the cherry on top, wouldn't it?
For sure, and that might tell us something about where we are zoned in the system, but it's really around those sort of characteristics.
The type of rock coming out of the drill core.
Yeah, correct. So does it fit our model, and are we able to predict what we would, what we see? What I would say to date is that we've drilled. We're on the 6th hole now. The first 5 holes, we've basically hit the target where we expected to, and characteristics as we expected them to be. So shear zones, quartz, sulphide. Obviously, we put out to market that we saw some visible gold in hole 2. So those pieces were all, we think, very encouraging. Clearly, what we want to see is as high a grade as possible in this system, and for it to be economic. We are encouraged by the fact that the previous owner drilled 3 holes at the very southern end here, which had some exceptional grades. So including an 8 metres at 104 grams.
2 at 100, 2 at 400, I think.
Yeah, 2 at 400, plus 2 other very strong holes on the same section. So the system is clearly able to host, or capable of hosting those types of grades. So we haven't got results back for this program as yet. So we'll see what we get. But we're encouraged by that point as well. So,
how far off might results be?
Yeah, we're pushing hard to have them back before Christmas. So we've got 2 holes at the first 2 holes are at the lab now, and we're putting the lab's feet to the fire as much as we can, and
excuse the pun.
and looking to get them back, because I think it's really important from our perspective to keep our shareholders up to date in as timely a fashion as possible. This is the biggest thing happening in the company now, this drill program. So we want to keep that information flowing. So that's really important for us. So I think that's what success looks like here for us in that sense. Okay. It's are we drilling what we expected to drill? Do we see hopefully some good gold results in that? But is the system showing the potential for a big scale deposit, which is the other part of really what we're after here, a Fosterville scale. So what we know we have is a 4 kilometre plus geochemical trend from here at Comet all the way up to Trojan and beyond. That's based upon both historic mining through all of this area, but also a whole host of soil sampling. And what they show is a coincident gold, arsenic and antimony anomaly over that trend. And
arsenic and antimony, so they're the sort of the pathfinders.
Key pathfinder elements, arsenopyrites, arsenic's in arsenopyrite, antimony's in stibnite. So they're key pathfinders for us, and this scale of geochemical anomaly gives us confidence that it's a bigger scale system here, which is really what the diamond drilling is about, testing and reinforcing for us. Yeah,
so the rigs are working through January, we understand. So
yeah, we'll have a break over Christmas, New Year.
Of course,
drillers will refresh their batteries.
They do work hard.
Luke and the team will refresh and recharge their batteries.
Yep.
And then start again early January.
Early January, yeah, fantastic.